If you're an academic looking to have all of your commonly used websites ready to go just on one tab on your computer rather than having to open up dozens, then this video is for you. We're continuing with our Notion theme of the month and talking about how to create a dashboard that makes it really easy to navigate to all those websites that you use very commonly, as well as some rare ones. You can add those there too. So go ahead and see how to build out this one page in Notion.
So this is my Notion dashboard. It's actually pretty simple to create, so this will probably be the shortest video of the month. But all we have here is on the top section, a little checklist of notes to myself. So if you never used Notion before and you haven't watched the prior videos in the series, you're gonna just go up here and you're gonna say, hey, I wanna add a cover, which is this image. I wanna add an icon. So they kind of appear here as options. So you wanna have those to appear, you choose what you want. And then this is just the title of the page. So in this case, it's my dashboard. And again, the purpose of the dashboard is to have everything really easy to access that you use often. So I added this section, maybe it's not for you, but I added a section of notes to myself like, hey, since I see this page, I would see this page every day because it's going to be my easy access page. I might as well put like high priority items and reminders up here as well. So maybe check for X's email on Thursday, find this resource, schedule a Zoom call. And then as you do them, you can check them off the list. So potentially you want to have that. And again, that's just an H2 and then a checklist. And so if you've never used Notion before, I'm going to go ahead and say, click to add below, right? So this will be, let's say, a starting point for it. And you do backslash, in this case, the header 2, and it's notes to yourself, click enter. And now you want to backslash again, and I want to add a to-do list. So we click that, and now we can add whatever the list items are here. And again, as you do them, you check them off, and they, are changed to designate that they have been completed. So that was incredibly simple to do here. I had this divider line, which again, if you want to do that, backslash here. And then I want to say it's called divider, right? So separator, it knows what I mean, divider. And now you have that dividing your notes list from the main dashboard. I'm going to delete this. So to do that, you just go to the 6 dots here and say, hey, you know what, delete that. You can also click and drag if you need to reorganize things, so you can do that as well. But here is the dashboard. And so I took this approach because I like how it looks visually. There are other ways of doing this, but in this case, I divided it into various sections. So the usual websites, the usual tech tools, and then the resource collections. So the usual websites are basically the websites you use constantly. So your LMS, if you click on here, it will take you straight to your LMS, to Canvas or to Moodle or to Sakai, whatever. If you click on here, it'll take you to the university email. You click on here, it takes you to OER Commons, which is where you look for resources to use in your courses. Your academic website, your personal email, your organization that you work for or you serve as a volunteer for. So the websites you use constantly, we just created a database of them so I can click and then it opens up automatically. So to show you an example here, I tied this to my website. So if I click here, it opens up on a new page. There I am. So if you go back here, now I have the usual tech tools. So I use Zoom a lot. Great. I'm going to click here and I go to Zoom. I use YouTube a lot in order to find videos to share with my students. So I click here. I use Canva to curate resources. So I click here. And then my resource collections, I use Google Drive to organize my files. So here's my Google Drive and here's my Dropbox if you use that. So it's, again, all you're doing here in this particular version is we're adding images and then we're adding links and captions to those images. So that's really all this is. When you're designing this page, that's why it happens so quickly. So if we go down here and I'm going to say H2 and create the header, and let's say I have my usual websites. Here we go. And then what I do is, hey, I want to create columns. So 2C will have this 2-column one appear, and you could do more than 2, but so that's happening here. And then I want to add an image. And that image, let's just do Unsplash here. And this is going to be about, I don't know, my architecture course. So architecture here, and this one's pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and add this image here, and then you're going to link it, right? So on the top right of the image, the more actions, you can say, I want to add a link, and then you add a link to your website. So you can also link to another page in your Notion, but in this case, there we go. And so now it's a link, and then I also want to do more options. I want to add a caption, and this tells me that it's whatever resource name that I have here. Okay, so now I know what it's called, and then when I click on it, it takes me to the link that I added to the image. Now, as you go along, so here we're in the second column. So again, I want to add an image, and I'm going to just choose this one, right? So what you can do is, okay, well, I want to go ahead and I want to add another image, right? So I do a little plus sign, and I do this one, and now I have this image, but I want it to be in the same row. So I click and I drag it, right? You see that line there? So now it's between these two. Now you notice that not all the images are the same size, so you want to find one that matches the same size as your other ones, but that's how you create the various columns, so you can just keep doing that. So if you add another image, which let's say it's outside of the columns, so we'll add an image again, unsplash this one. There it is. It's not in the column, but I can click and I can either drag it underneath, right? So you see it's a short line now. So that tells me that it's underneath the first column. Or I can click and drag again, and I can put it between images. So let's say I'm going to put it there, and now we have a 4-column start to this database. So that's all I've done for creating this database. The really easy way, in my opinion, is you add an image, you link the image, you add a caption to the image, and that's it. Now there are other options. So let me just delete this one because it's a different size quite a bit, so it's bothering me. So you have this all here, but maybe you actually want to make a really like minimalistic view of your dashboard. And so what you can do is, rather than having the usual websites be on the main page, you can click here and say, you know what, I want to turn this H2 into a toggle H2. So if I go to turn into toggle H2, now there's this little caret. So I can make the disappear and then reappear. So if these were all toggles, I can just have the usual websites, the usual tech tools, the resource collections, and directly underneath each other. And then I can open up the one I want to use and then go into the link from there. So that's something to consider as well. If you wanted to make it really minimalistic, you can do that. I don't feel the need to do that, so I didn't do that approach with the example, but that is something that you can do. And just keep in mind that you can click on those 6 dots and say, hey, turn this into something else. So I don't want it to be that anymore. I just want it to be a regular H3, and now it's a regular H3. So something to keep in mind as well. But that's one approach to take. Now keep in mind that there are a lot of embeds that are possible here. So if you do that backslash and you go like down this list here, okay, all these embeds. So you could embed PDFs, your Google Drive, Twitter, Google Maps, Figma. So you can go through here and decide like, hey, like I'm just gonna actually add my Dropbox as an embed versus creating an image and linking to my Dropbox. You can do it that way if you prefer. So that's something to keep in mind. All those embeds can be added to the page as well. So this is your dashboard. Then you can make this your main page that appears every single time you open Chrome, let's say. And now here you go. Rather than having to have all these tabs open, you can just say, open my dashboard every morning. I see my notes to myself from, let's say, the day before. Let me make sure I do those. And then I'm going to open up and set up for my day. Today I'm teaching, so let's open up the LMS. Let's open up my university email, right? I'm not teaching today. I want to work on my service. I'm going to open up the organization that I'm helping out with. I need to create something for them. I'm going to open up Canva to create a newsletter. So that's the really simple approach to creating that dashboard to make your life a little easier.
If you found this video helpful, click like and let me know, and subscribe to not miss out on future content. We have one more video about Notion for this month, but then we'll move on to the next theme and so on. So if you're new to teaching and you're interested in teaching tools, tips, ideas, resources, ed tech and tech tutorials, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and check out some of the links below to my hundreds of older videos.